Welcome to episode 113. I'm your host, Tamera Gaede, and this is another episode of The Closing Table with Lawyers title. Today, my special guest, well, he's a power player, and we're going to dig into his mind right after this.
So ridiculous.
Welcome to The Closing Table with host Tamera Gaede, where we break down how to be successful in real estate and what it's really like to work in the real estate business. This is The Closing Table with Lawyers title.
Welcome back again. I'm your host, Tamera Gaede. Today's guest, well, actually, he's a returning guest. I'm excited to have Nick Good back on the show, team leader of the Good Home team. 2025 team production, he's going to end at about 70 million. Just let that sink in for just a second. He's also a best-selling author of The Six-Figure Agent and of course, so many other things, investor and developer and all this stuff. So super excited to have Nick on the show. This is segment 2 of Inside the Mind of Power Players. And I want you to kind of unfold some of the things and tell us some secrets and help some of my agent friends well, while we're in an interesting market and all just trying to make it. But anyway, welcome back to the show, Nick.
Thanks for having me. This is like my third time, I think.
Well, it was once with all the guys.
Then this fourth time. I did one in the colony.
Yourself. Yeah.
And then we've done 2 in here, maybe.
Oh, has it been 4 times you've been on the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a new segment.
I like it.
I'm very excited about it, and I think it's very necessary. I actually stole the title, but which all good things are hijacked.
Rip off and duplicate.
Yeah.
That's where I've learned.
So let's get rolling. First question. Okay, it's been weird this year again. And we got a lot of people that are looking for answers, just problem solving, right? So can we talk about what you've seen are the biggest shifts in buyer and seller behavior right now?
I mean, look, the buyer and seller behavior is a recessionary behavior. So I'm going to call it, we're already in a recession, a real estate related recession. So what we have at the moment, we have sellers that are now more motivated to sell than ever. A lot of that has to do with their funds are running low and they've overstretched. Maybe they've overcommitted on credit card. We've seen credit card debt at an all-time high. We've seen auto delinquencies picking up. And what ends up happening is they let that slide before they let their housing start to go.
Sure.
Right? So most people let all that go before they let their shelter go. And now we're starting to see that they're in this very desperate situation of trying to figure out how to get out of this very expensive house. Utilities are up, food is up. It's a tough time for everyone.
Are we just talking about the people that bought in 2022, 2023 after the interest rates went crazy? Or are we talking everybody in probably the last 5 years?
Everybody.
With taxes and insurance.
Everybody. Taxes, insurance, everything. I mean, people are worried about losing their jobs. So when we look at it, now the people that bought in the last 2 to 3 years, where they're really up a creek with no paddle, is that they don't have enough equity.
Yeah.
And so now we're looking at, do they have enough money to get out of their house and they're upside down? Or are we looking at it, obviously an increase in short sale situations to negotiate with the bank? Funny story, but quick story is that I had someone reach out to me a month and a half ago, and this was a banking connection that I'd made back in 2008, 2009 during the great financial collapse. And he called me and I said, "Hey, Matt, obviously you're not calling to catch up for just to see how I'm doing since I haven't heard you in forever. We haven't spoken." He's like, "No, their bank is acquiring another bank and their books are really bad. A lot of bad real estate loans starting to come to foreclosure."
Really?
And so, it was allowing me an opportunity to make some offers on it.
Yeah.
So we're seeing foreclosures increase. We're seeing, people.
How much though? Let's put this into perspective, because all the numbers I'm reading about foreclosures are still below 20%.
What does it matter?
Way below.
What does it matter? It's still up
4 or 5%.
Yeah. Look, I think any increase is bad.
Okay.
So when here's the problem is that if I said, Tamera, we're up 5-6%. You're like, who cares? That's only 5. That's a single digit increase.
Well, that's what I've kind of said about it.
If you're the one going through that struggle,
no, for sure.
And agents don't know. Our agents right now are not versed in how to deal with this.
Correct.
The majority of agents are still 5 years or newer in the business. Mm-hmm. Even if you're 5 to 10 years in the business, they've really never dealt with a short sale or a lot of people behind. And so now we're going and trying to figure out how do we help solve a problem that we've never dealt with before. Most of the brokers, the managing brokers, never really dealt with it either. So we're kind of just hopefully chat GPTing it and hopefully that we can get a right answer with AI.
How to work through a foreclosure.
Exactly. And then how do we connect with people? On the buyer side, I was talking to a buyer yesterday. He's relocating here from Florida. He's a New Yorker. So New Yorker moved to Boca Raton. Now he's coming here for a financial job. And he's one of these, and this is what brings out during these times, is the over analysis that causes paralysis. He's like, he's looked at every YouTube video on real estate. He's looked at every neighborhood. He's looked at all the data. He knows on Zillow when people do $1,000 price adjustment that they're just trying to track people in. And he's waiting for a massive crash. So what we're seeing in a lot of these buyers is they're holding out because in their mind, they don't want to be overpaying for a house. And so you're having to deal with these tire kickers per se of they're waiting for the bad of the bad to come, which most likely is not going to happen.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I mean, all the predictions for next year is we're not having some major anything. I mean, we're going to see a recession. That was Blake said. Q1, I think, Jesse, of next year is when we're really going to see it kick in.
But we're already in it.
Yeah.
If they're saying Q1, we're already in it. And we're already in a real estate related recession. If you look at DFW housing numbers that just came out, we're sitting at just a hair under 6 months of inventory. It's 5.5 for pre-owned. And so when you factor in even new construction, we're at like 5.3 months. But we're in December right now. Yeah. So December, we see a drop off in inventory anyway. And then you start to see in those spring selling, the spring summer selling season, you start to see inventory creep up. And so last year at the same time in 2024 in that spring selling season, we saw the number of inventory creep up by 1.5 months. So 1.5 months increase. So if everything stays the same, that means we're at 5.5 right now. We're at 7 months of inventory. That is a buyer's market. That means that there's more houses than buyer demand. That means that we're going to continue to see more concessions from sellers. We're going to continue to see potentially more and more homes sit. Like it's going to take probably 90 to 120 days at least to expectations to get a contract. And agents don't know how to service it.
No, that's a long stretch for a lot of my friends, right? That's a long stretch. Okay, but you talked about buyers kicking tires, okay? Yep. How do we get the buyers to stop kicking the tires and get under contract?
You have to have a realistic conversation. So with the gentleman yesterday, I asked him, I said, well, let me say, first off, it's like trying to catch a falling knife. You're going to cut yourself. If you catch it right on the blade, you're cutting yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't know where the bottom is. You don't know. By the time you know where the bottom is, just like
it's going to be too late.
Just like you're saying, hey, they're predicting recession Q1. That means we're already in it.
Yeah.
Come on. Right. So with the gentleman I had a conversation with yesterday, I said, well, how long do you plan on living in this house? He's like, well, my daughter's in third grade. We're older parents. So more than likely this is, unless something bad happens, this will be the long-term house. I said, so great. So what does it matter if you bought today and prices drop by 5 or 10%, you're not selling next year. In the next 10 years, do you believe that home values and home prices will increase? He said, yes. So I said, okay, so what's stopping you?
Yeah, they have this magic, it's magic money, right? Yes. This equity is magic money. Yeah. And so you've got to have that conversation to get them over this magic money thing they've got in their head.
Yeah. What ends up happening as agents, and we mentioned it before we started, was that agents are struggling right now.
Oh yeah, we need to unpack some things.
And we can unpack that in a minute. But they're struggling to the point that when they're talking to a buyer, they're just happy someone's talking to them.
Yes.
And so that what they don't want to do is push, because they don't want to push away. Here I am. Number one, whether they buy with me or not, I don't really care, because I want to get my point across and show them my expertise and what I know about this marketplace.
But that's an interesting stance. Does that come from a luxury position where you're like, I don't care if they buy from, whereas my other friend is going to be like, I have to have this buyer, right? And that changes your mindset and how you have conversations. Don't you think that's the case?
Yes and no. I mean, even when I was building this in the beginning and I didn't have any, I still wanted to make sure that they saw my expertise, that I wasn't just telling them what they wanted to hear.
Well, that has somehow paid off for you, right?
Well,
Can
correct.
you explain?
Because in my opinion, we'd have to ask my clients, is they don't feel like I'm selling them. They don't feel like I'm just out to get a commission. Here I am. I'm educating them on this entire market. By the way, this gentleman, when I called him yesterday, told me to take him off the list. He was an open house lead, told me to take him off the list because he had another agent who was 100% dedicated to, but he hadn't signed a rep. Just FYI, full disclosure, hadn't signed a rep because this lady had helped him when no one else would help him to find a rental property. I said, great. But let me ask you this. Does she know about this type of market that we're in? Does she know about, was she selling houses during the real estate recession of 2008? Now, a lot of people can't say that. I can.
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, but you keep bringing up recession. Do you think housing prices is going to crash? I said, no, it's not going to crash. But what you're going to start seeing is more inventory. So you're going to start seeing, better ways to negotiate. That's more advantageous. This is the best time for a buyer to buy a house. Next to the 2008, this is the best time for them to buy a house.
So a buyer steps into one of my friends' houses, right? They have the listing. How does the listing agent help get the conversion better than they've done in the past? What tools are you using to help get that buyer secured to get that house?
Well, first off, we have to make sure that we're pricing appropriately. So I look, everyone, my agent partners hate when I say this, but that number one is like, you're setting yourself for frustration and failure because you didn't price it correctly. You didn't want to, but you went with the seller's price, and the seller's price is wrong right now. They're still living in the past. They're still comparing they're still living with the, Jane down the road that sold 2 years ago, and she was able to sell in a week for a little bit of over asking price. And so what we have to do is we've got to show them. We've got to visually show them. We got to take them slide by slide through the houses. People love their house, right? They're emotionally connected. They think that their house is the best thing in the neighborhood, right? They've cared for it better than anyone else, and so there should be a value on that in their mind. And buyers are coming in, they're like, screw that value. I can go and look. There's a house right across the street that is $30,000 cheaper, and it's the same floor plan with the same upgrades. What's the difference?
Okay, house is priced right, turnkey, ready to go, still can't get it under contract, right? At what point do you stop lowering the price? Until
it goes under contract. And
I heard at a conference, the answer is to tell the market is rejecting your pricing model right now. Instead of we need to do a price reduction, the market is rejecting your pricing. Okay. But there's 3 houses in the neighborhood, right? And we drop below what is market value to get the house sold. Now we've undervalued the neighborhood, reset the comps. If we get it under contract, is that worth it? Doesn't matter.
What is the seller situation? So again, I can't tell. There's no advice I can give unless I know what the seller situation is. So do they have to sell because they financially can't afford it?
Well, then
that you're telling me in 3 to 4 or 5 months that they're gonna start falling behind on this? So if that's the case, then absolutely, we drop the price until we find a buyer. Or we start to have realistic conversations and saying, look, you've got 2 routes here, right? Especially maybe you relocated for a job, maybe you're downsizing because you can't afford the upkeep, whatever the situation may be, but you got a couple different routes. One is we drop price until we find that buyer. And maybe if you're upside down, can you scrounge around pennies? Can you ask friends and family to help come up with a difference that you'll pay them back later? If that's not the case, then you do, I say that's the quick death, right? And it's painful and it sucks.
Yeah.
The second one is a slow bleed out where you lease it out and maybe the rent covers your mortgage, but more than likely right now it's not. Mm-hmm. And you're having to pay $100, $200, maybe $300 a month.
Oh, that's why I can't buy a rental. Because it's negative cash flow.
Negative cash flow.
Yeah.
But they didn't buy the house to have it cash flowing. It was not a cash flowing investment for them.
But they got to cover the monthly bills.
Sure. They got to cover the mortge. Yeah. Once they move out, they got to cover mortgage and insurance.
Yep.
And so are you telling, which is probably built into their mortgage in the first place.
Well, I hope so.
And so the question is, can they afford a $100 to $300 deficit every single month? And then wait a year, and then let's reevaluate. They're going to have some equity pay down. Maybe we're out of this mess a little bit more. Maybe it takes 2 years. And if you look at that difference, let's call it $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year that they're in the hole. That is $7,200 a year in 2 years, assuming that there's no maintenance, repairs that they have to do in those 2 years. A $7,200 out of their own pocket difference with someone having their principal pay down, more than likely we're probably out of this type of market in 2 years.
And so much better than a foreclosure, y'all.
But
7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
Isn't it 7 years, or is that bankruptcy? No, 7 years for foreclosure.
But at the same time, it's the mental mind game that it plays with you too. I mean, I couldn't imagine going through a foreclosure, losing a house.
Well, and then you get nothing.
Yeah.
You get nothing. A big goose egg.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that agents are capable of having those hard conversations right now to help these sellers make the right decision.
But agents need to also, and this is, look, I own a property management company, so I'm biased on this, but I'm seeing this in the market where agents are putting their clients' houses up for lease and for sale, and they're also not doing they're not an expert in the leasing game. And they're not an expert the leasing market is tough as well. I own 64 of them. I know. And so
yeah, me too.
They're sitting, you're having to reduce price. And so
better when rent went up.
Exactly. And my recommendation is just refer it out to a property management company, collect the 25 or 30% that you're going to get. Something's better than nothing. You're setting them up. Make sure that the property management company will give it back to you once they're ready to list.
That's hard though, because our agents right now need all the money they can get coming in.
I get it. But they're putting their own needs versus over their clients' needs. And that's not a fiduciary.
Yeah.
And they
tough though.
Yeah,
that's
it's tough. I get it.
That's tough. And that's going to kind of lead into what I, wanted to ask you about next is, like I said, a lot of my agent friends, they need all the deals they can get, right? And we're struggling right now. So can you tell me about some of your big pivots that you've made or adjustments that you've made or adaptations that you've made this year so that you can keep being successful? Do you have any, give me your top two, I don't know, whatever comes to your mind.
I've made no adjustments.
No adjustments.
I've made everything.
Well, that's not helpful.
There's no helpful. What the adjustment?
I need some big ooh la la magic moment.
No,
Nick. You're not giving it to me.
There's not an easy button. What we have built is what has worked since 2009, and it's look, we're calling. We're having conversations with sellers. We're reaching out to cancels and expireds. We're doing maybe the pivot. I'll say this: the pivot is we're doing more open houses.
Interesting.
So we're getting back belly to belly, face to face with people.
Belly to belly.
And so versus a lot of people, and we talked about this again. That you mentioned someone that was buying leads. The Good Home Team. We don't buy leads. We are expireds, cancels, for sale by owners. We input that into our database. If there's email campaigns that go out, if we find their emails, we put them up on market reports. We got hand raisers that come from it. We make cash offers to sellers and find solutions for that.
Yeah, you can buy the houses. Yeah.
I can buy the houses, or you can go create it. There's a gentleman I just met, Larry, who has helped agents. He's helped agents purchase 47 houses in the last 2 years.
Tell me about Larry. Explain.
So Larry, comes in and meets with agents and has found an investor client that will come in and make cash offers. And they're a big institution, but and they only go through Larry. Like if you wanted to cut Larry out, they wouldn't work with you. Doesn't matter how great the deal the house is.
I wonder if I know about Larry. I might know about Larry.
You know Larry.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone knows Larry.
I feel like I do because I feel like another client of mine at EXP told me about Larry.
Yeah, everyone knows Larry. But you can, again, it's about creating opportunities that help solve problems.
Yes.
So, but that's not a pivot because we've always done that.
Well, I understand, but you've built something you guys built something really special and outside of the box of the normal realtor business, right? So most realtors can't buy the houses, right? That's
Why?
not
Why?
Okay.
I couldn't afford it back then when I started it, but why? You can partner, you can JV. Here's my take on this is why would you, and this is what I always tell my investor clients when they come to me. I have a great friend, Michael Price, and I'm like, and I've sold him some deals that I was like, hey, I'm doing this one to keep. I really want to make sure that we keep this relationship going. You're a good friend of mine now, but I want to make sure that from a agent to investor client. So I've wholesaled him some deals, but as an agent, there are ways that they can get in and create their own opportunity. The problem that most agents have, they only think within this one little tiny box versus
buying and selling real estate.
Versus when I go, if I'm going to your house, Tamera,
clients.
the first thing I'm doing is like, all right, can I buy your house? If I'm walking in your house, what can I offer for it to stay in my rental portfolio? What can I offer if I wanted to flip it? I don't flip anymore. I only wholesale. So I'm like, all right, what would if I were to wholesale it to one of my investor clients? What would I need to buy it for? And what kind of spread do I want to make when I'm selling it to them? And if I'm selling it to one of my investor clients, the only way that they get access to any of my deal flow is if they relist it with me. If they don't relist it with me, then they're out.
Yeah.
And so I go down my checklist. My last on the checklist is broker.
Well, wait a minute. Start from this top. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about the checklist.
So the checklist is I'm walking into your house with the intention that I want to buy it.
Any house.
Absolutely.
Any house you're, I call you. I'm like, hey man, I'm looking at maybe selling my house.
Yep.
And so you come over to help. I want you to help me list it. You go over there, and your mindset is, I want to buy this house.
In my mind, I'm going to say I'm going down my checklist of like, what would I want to buy this for to keep it in a rental?
Not list it.
Not list it.
Buy it.
Buy it.
Different mindset.
Absolutely.
And this goes to what I wanted to talk to you about next, is how agents can build more long-term financial resilience, right? So that they're able to weather these slow times and not have to go look for a job,
Sure.
right? So let's keep going. Your checklist, you're looking at maybe
what
buying
can
a
I buy
house.
for my rental portfolio, right? You just said, and by the way, your problem is you're having agents send you deals that are not cash flowing because they don't know what a cash flowing deal looks like. So you got to find, like, as a real estate agent, we can go direct to seller. You're getting it from agent, we're getting it from seller that's going through an agent, and the agent's coming to you. And by then the price is a little bit too high. So there's not enough spread on it to make it cash flowing right now. And we're not seeing an increase in values at the moment. So the appreciation doesn't make sense.
Right.
And the interest rates are too high. But
all this stuff is like penciled down for Tamera.
Yes.
But we're not talking about Tamera.
Yes. But you're a great example of this, right?
Yeah.
So agents are afraid because they may hear stories like you've experienced. What they can come in and do, though, is like go down their checklist. Like, if I were to buy this, what would I need to buy it for to cash flow? It's going to be a really low offer, right? Or what could I buy it for if they were willing to owner finance it to me? I bought a house this year.
You've been talking about that on social media.
Yep, I bought a house this year that now I put way too much down in order to make this work. It took too long to draw it, but I wanted to test out the theory that I bought for $160,000. I put, it was originally wanted $100,000 down. I think I put $80,000 down. So I financed the rest at a 4.5% interest rate, and over a 30-year note with no
You financed $60,000 on a 30-year note?
Yeah. Just because I wanted to do it. Just because I wanted to test out the theory.
I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah, I financed $60,000. But at 4.5%, this guy was willing to take a 4.5%, give me 4.5% interest on a 30-year note with no balloon payment. Meaning, most.
It's almost free money, so why not?
Free money.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I could sit here for 30 years to pay this guy out, and he's old.
$60,000 for 30 years. What does that monthly payment look like?
I think it's like $400 something. And the rent is $1,800 a month.
Okay, well, that's a win.
Yeah. So now I put $80,000 down.
True.
And so I think my cash on that one, I think, is somewhere in the 7.5% range. I think the AC went out the first month I did it, so that was $6,000. Yeah, but you start going down that checklist. So like, what would I need to do this? What would I need to do that? What investor clients do I have that I could sell this to? And then the last box on your checklist is going to be, what could I broker it for? Meaning, what could I list it for a commission? Yeah. And you just go down that checklist. So I was taught that years ago.
It's a different mindset. You know that.
But
it's not most
But do
mindset.
most real estate agents get into this business that you talk to? They say they wanted to be a real estate investor or invest in real estate. The majority of the ones I do talk.
No, not the ones I talk to. That's not true.
We got a different group then. Because most of the people, they're like, I want to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
And
I think that's why we are because
Yes.
we have access to the best stuff.
exactly, but they don't do it. What do? They give it to their clients.
Yeah.
They give it, and they make a one-time fee. Usually it's not enough.
And their client never comes back and uses again.
Their clients aren't loyal.
Yeah.
Right? They're deal horse.
Deal horse.
Right? So they're going to
just
go
said that
they're
on
going to
my
go here,
podcast.
they're going to go there.
Yep.
That's okay. That's what they are. Investors are not loyal clients.
No.
And so they're just looking, whoever got the best deal, they're going to them. And, sorry, Tamara, that you gave me a great deal, but I'm not going to be exclusive to you because I'm looking at everything else over here. And we put up with that kind of crap. For what? 3%, 2%, 4%, whatever you charge?
1.5.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. I think that's an excellent mindset to go in and look at it as how can you build your personal wealth? Because at the end of the day, the sellers just want to sell the house. Do they care who it goes to? I guess sometimes sellers care, but I want a nice family that, will take care of the house, but we need to get past this. This house is wood and bricks. It's not your emotions, right? It's not your memories. You take those with you, right? So detaching from properties is really important as an investor mindset.
Our job is to solve problems.
Yeah.
Right? So not to jump because I did look at your list here.
Are you looking? We're about to change subjects.
Yeah,
for sure.
there's money changes hands when problems are solved.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. So there's problems. Everyone has problems. The bigger the problem, typically the more that the money exchanged hands to solve that problem would be. And so I'll give you an example why you should go in with this checklist. So one of my agents, Matt Kelderman, ran a listing appointment about 3 weeks ago, and this seller is absolutely cool guy, just insane.
Insane how?
Just there's no filter on him.
Okay.
And so not mentally insane.
Well,
otherwise he couldn't.
we can have crazy.
Otherwise,
Crazy
just
town
crazy,
now, too.
right?
Yeah,
so
we got crazy now.
So unfortunately, his fourth marriage, he found out his fourth wife cheated on him.
Uh-oh.
And so fourth wife cheated on him. By the way, the third wife was the best friends with the fourth wife. And
I think
the fourth wife,
we're seeing the first problem.
yeah, there's that problem. But he needed to sell quickly because he was tired of he would watch on the camera at home while the wife cheated on him, which is a whole nother weird deal.
That is something, isn't it?
But he needed to sell
Yeah.
quickly because what we found out was he was 2 months behind on his mortgage. Has enough equity in there.
Does the bank give you? I don't even know before they start
Typically
initiating conversations.
3 months.
Okay,
typically
3 months.
90 days. And then what ended up happening was, we went out there originally to sign a listing agreement because we were like, he's like, number one, I said, I'll make a cash offer. You're not going to like it. I always lead with that, right? So I'll give you a cash offer. I can solve your problem really, really fast. I'll give you a cash offer. It might not be in your wheelhouse, but here it is. Mine was much lower than what he would have taken. And we're like, look, let's just list it. Well, we can broker it out. We can sell it quickly. We'll still price it. You're going to still net more. And he was at first he was on board with it. Then he got an investor that offered him $245,000 and was going to kick us to the curb.
And wait, how did that offer compare with your original cash offer
Mine was
list price?
180.
Okay, what was
my list price was I think Matt was doing around 285, 290.
Okay, got it.
So even with closing costs and everything, we're netting him more than the 245 investor offer. So, what I told him to do is like, hey, give us a couple more days. This was last week over Thanksgiving. Said give us a couple more days. We went to Open Door, went to OfferPad, went to Larry, the house buyer as well. Larry's numbers came in somewhere where I expected in the mid 220 or the $225,000 range, so not better than the 245 that he had.
Yeah.
And so Open Door surprisingly came in with a preliminary offer that just blew his socks off. It was like $300,000.
Wow.
Now we did a video tour. Open Door adjusted their price down by about $80,000. Their net offer was
$80,000.
$220. Okay. So last case resort, we went to OfferPad. OfferPad came in at a high $300,000+ number.
What?
Even with their convenience fee, it's about a $50,000 increase versus that 245 offer,
Okay.
and that is with him still paying us some commissions and everything else. So again, working out the deal to help solve their problem. So the OfferPad closes in 14 days. Do I really want to sell to an iBuyer? Absolutely not. Would I much rather sold it to one of my investor clients? Perfect. But we eliminated options. It's like a quarterback on a football team looking at the defensive, play scheme that's happening and he's calling audibles to make sure that the play that they're about to run is going to score a touchdown or get a first down or just be successful. And so right now, we were able to successfully find him a better offer that's going to put at least, even if there's an adjustment in there, I'm going to say at least $30,000 more in his pocket.
This is excellent golden nugget, right? Because I think we are used to putting the houses on the market and then we market the properties and we wait for a buyer.
Yep.
But you're going through a strategic checklist to find an offer quickly, right? Find offers, multiple offers. What did you get, like 5?
We got, 4.
That's a lot of offers.
Yeah, the one he got 5.
And
4
I
from
hear
me.
a lot about house has been on the market 90 days. We've had 2 showings and no offers, right? At least you've got a bird in hand. You may not like the bird, okay? But it's a bird.
Look,
right?
I always tell my clients, my job is not to sell your home for the highest price, right? And they don't like, and I say, I'm not saying this so you don't hire me. My job is to procure offers for you so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Now, maybe that offer I get is a great high price, but my number one job when you hire me is to market it and to find the right buyer or to bring offers in. Might be low. We'll negotiate the heck out of it and then find that acceptable sweet spot for you so that you can close this chapter and get to the next one.
Okay, I'm going to pivot.
Yep.
I want to talk about technology and AI.
Yep.
Talk to me about some specific use cases of how you guys are using AI day to day to work more efficiently. Okay. Maybe it's an example of how it's helping you streamline client communication or marketing, or maybe it's about how you're saving time on market analysis or any other type. So can you give us some specific use cases?
Yeah, I can give you some. It's not there yet. Everyone thinks it's there.
No, it's not there yet. Yeah.
What I'm going to tell you is that
it does save time.
Yes,
once you get it set up.
Yes. What I will tell you is that if you see a professionally written email from me with no typos and no grammatical errors, and it makes logical sense, it was written by AI, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So what it's doing is it's helping. We're a partner with Place, and Place is a broker agnostic platform for the top 1% of real estate teams. And so we've got proprietary technology that we use through our CRM system. And so we're using AI to train our agents. We have an AI call coach where all of our agent partners can call in and they can practice calling their sphere. Like talking to their sphere, but it's AI.
Wow.
They can call an expired, cancel, for sale one, or circle prospecting.
This takes script running to a whole new level.
Absolutely. Because what is script running? If you and I were to role play, we both could just not really do it that hard.
Yeah.
And so we go into the AI coaching or our call coaching center, and we can do beginner, intermediate, and hard levels. And there's everything in there. And
overcoming objections.
Absolutely.
Getting the appointment and
So you can do that without messing up in real time and know that it's not a human being on the other side. But what it does is it gets them prepared to use like the LP Mama scripts, the Ford scripts, or just having better flowing conversations so that you get to point A to point B, which is always either trying to figure out, am I setting an appointment or am I setting a nurture follow-up, or this person's so insane that I'm going to delete them out of my call list so that I'm never reaching back out.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things.
Okay. We've
got an AI assistant that helps, send out some text messages and kind of helps nurture and to bring people back to life. And then
I think that's a really big use case for it is database farming.
Yep. And then eventually we'll have our AI call assistant going through our database and just calling and just checking in on our sphere, the people that know, like, trust, and love us, and try to warm them up and maybe set a coffee or maybe set a home evaluation up, or maybe a refinance opportunity up.
Tell me about some kinks in conversation with AI and clients. Like, do you ever get busted and they're like, oh man, this is like not a real person?
We haven't done the calling yet. I mean, that would happen, but I mean, not in the texting. I mean, most people now are kind of used to some type of AI texting automation.
Sure.
And so, if we get anything in there, I mean, it's learned so fast. I mean, there was some use case scenarios where, maybe someone said they passed away and they were like, I'm so sorry. And then it went directly into trying to set an appointment.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
So
that's tough.
But we haven't had any problems with it. I mean, eventually what we'll see is, like, when we make outbound calls, We record all our calls. The call recording and the transcript gets in our CRM, and eventually AI will start reading the transcript.
Yeah.
And we'll start pulling out nuggets from there, and it will automatically start setting up searches based on how the call went. So if they said they're looking in Salina, Prosper or whatever for maybe a 4-2 with a pool or on a golf course, it will start setting up automated searches on
How
that.
far away are we from this actually?
Probably say 6 months.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that answers one of my next questions. What trends do we see in the next 6 to 12 months? That's a big deal. Like you're taking the lead gen part away from the realtor.
No, they still have to do it. They got to make the calls. Now the AI calling, yes, but here's what's, and this is what I tell my agents all the time. I said, eventually this could all be outsourced, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And we all everyone loves to complain about splits or what the brokerage charges and all this, but they all love done for you referral services where they're paying 30, 40, 50, 60%.
And they don't actually have to go out and kill it and drag it in.
And I'm like, guys, but you want to complain and moan and cry about what splits are. But over here on the backside, you're willing to pay for all those other services. Mm-hmm. So eventually these will come at a cost. And so I always say this will also hurt their sales, their development in this industry.
I agree.
Right? They're going to rely so much on this automation or this, and they're not going to be truly experts at their craft.
No, because it's taking the hardest part out, the part where you actually
dealing
have
with
to
people.
Yeah, deal with your people.
Yeah.
I was so passionate.
Yeah. So dealing with people and then they're too reliant on AI reviewing market stats, and they believe what AI is pushing out, and it's proven that, and it's known that AI makes mistakes, but they're taking it at like it's written in stone. And so, my concern is that they're not doing enough of their own understanding of how the economy works, how the market works, how they correlate together, and they're just we're too much reliant on AI, and it just becomes, I think they're giving poor information.
I still proof all the things that I do with AI. It doesn't get farmed out
100%.
Without taking a really hard look at what it says and tweaking things. And it's not always right. I mean, I have to dig in, like my questions. I had Megan, my AI, help me come up with the questions for you today. And we had to go through several rounds of, okay, you're on the right track here, but we got to go deeper here. And I need to have it kind of say this. So yeah, any human mistake right now is taking what AI says and just plugging it in. Yeah. Okay, you still have to use your own brain and review things.
Well, I have AI analyze all my potential investments I'm buying, and it's made mistakes.
How? Tell me how. Like you plugged in what your metrics,
sales price,
your buy
my
box?
purchase price. Here's the estimated rehab. Here's I bought several houses this year for cash. Like what's my cash on cash return? What's best use case scenario? Here's my anticipated insurance and my anticipated taxes that's paid yearly. And sometimes they've got the insurance number wrong, and so it can throw the calculations off.
Has it been the biggest help in buying these properties? How many properties did you buy this year?
I've only purchased 2. I was trying to get one more in this year, and she's pushing it. So I bought 2 this year. My goal next year is to buy 3 or 4.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, my goal is to have them. It was to have them all paid off. Now I'm probably going to start recycling my current capital. So I'll buy them paid off, and then as rates are will start to creep down, I'll do a cash out refinance at a low leverage. So 100 to 110 max. I'll sit on 500, 600, 700,000, and then use that to go buy more houses, and then recycle that on the new ones that I buy for cash. I'll recycle that out and continue it
until when?
It's about cash flow.
We did talk about a trend, okay, how you're using AI for a trend next year. Anything else you see on the horizon locally in the next 6, 12 months?
In terms of what?
I mean, we've talked about what we think the market's going to do next year. I think it's more like trends within your business, right? Again, any other tools within AI that you're using, or how are you having it help you streamline or save time with your business?
Not yet. I mean, I would say that, to me, the trend is going back. People value some of the old school techniques and just the old school service. And so again, our agents are going back to open houses. Our agents we're making more phone calls than we've had in a long time.
Okay. Tell me about how many open houses a month?
I mean, I don't set a KPI on that one. It's really my agent partners' goals that they're setting, but we're probably doing anywhere from 5 to 10 a month.
Are you seeing the traffic?
The traffic's picking up. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're getting 2 to 4 people in there, I think that one, it's still an opportunity to have conversations. And then at the same time, it's next year is going to be tough. We're not out of the woods.
No,
in fact, I think it gets a little worse. Even with the Fed lowering rates, we still have to clear out. We got to clear out some of the dead inventory that's sitting there. And so, until inflation is truly under control and we kind of get the economy kind of back into somewhat of a consistent stability, I just think that people and their finances are going to be major concerns. And so next year will be tough, but the last 2 years have been tough. And there's agents and some of our agent partners last 3 years.
We weren't prepared for 3.
No.
We were kind of prepared for 2, but to go into 4.
But we also weren't prepared to have interest rates go, raise as fast as they did. And
I know.
That was history making. And we have had agents in the last 3 years, every single year, still have their best year yet.
It's funny because I do talk to individuals like yourself that run teams. I mean, I have a few of you guys that are like, we're up 15, 20%. How are you guys going to finish compared to last year?
So we're up. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we're definitely up. We're up, I think, anywhere from 7 to 10%.
That's amazing.
And our August closing was a company in our 20 years of me doing this. It was a company record of the number of units we closed and volume and the number of company dollar earned.
Congrats.
So we see that. Here's where I think the trend is going, and it's not a popular one, but this is where it's definitely going, is that the individual agent is going to be lessened and lessened, meaning that it's going to be the large teams that are part of platforms. I'm with Place. We'll see what the next big one. There will be some competitors eventually out there similar to Place, but what will end up happening is that these large real estate conglomerates. It's not about the brokerage, but what we get to do is that we own the companies that Place owns. Services about 74% of the real estate industry already. In terms of, we own Remine, we own LandVoice, like we own the data companies. And then eventually what these large real estate conglomerates will do is that they will get in the mortgage business. They're going to start servicing their own loans so that it doesn't get sold off. Because what ended up happening over the last year and a half, you had Rocket Mortgage buy Redfin. Right. And then Rocket Mortgage bought Mr. Cooper, the largest loan servicing company in the United States. Why do you think they were doing that?
Market share.
Not just market share, but what it allows it to do is it completes an ecosystem, so that if your loan is serviced by Mr. Cooper, they now have the data on you. If you log into your portal and you start clicking on refinance, or you start maybe looking at your house value, or looking at purchase rates, now that sets off a trigger for someone at Rocket Mortgage to call you to try to get you to refinance. And then you're like, no, I'm thinking about buying. They're like, oh, by the way, Tamera, we've got Redfin agents that will do it at a cheaper cost. And if you use one of our people, we'll do it as a cheaper cost package as a whole. And what are consumers? Consumers are cheap, right? When they hear something, they're getting something at a cheaper cost, they always go to that first.
Yeah.
And so they start looking at, now they've got these people in their own fenced in territory. And what do agents do? They start losing at-bats and opportunities. Because most people are like, no, my clients are loyal to me. They're not loyal to you. They're loyal to price. They're loyal to cost. There will be some that will be loyal to, but now, what if you've lessened your at-bat and opportunity by 50%? That's a lot.
It's a lot. Well, okay, so we need to end on a high note.
I think it is a high note if you really look at where it's going, though.
Okay.
Because if you look at, we are now truly understanding how to work data, and we're understanding look, whether we like it or not, we're going to, teams are going to grow. Brokerages have become massive, but brokerages have dropped the ball because they weren't willing to provide all these services, because it was the race to the bottom with it went from 50-50 split, 70-30, 80-20, 80-15, and then $500 flat fee, right? The lower that you get, the less services that you can provide. Yep. Unless you're adding add-on cost to it. And so now we're going reverse, where it's like, hey, high services, and we can show you how to go get more business, because we're going to own all these services here so that your client gets all the best touches. And so that they always remember you when they're paying their mortgage, or that when something happens, there's a trigger alert that says, hey, Tamera, call this person.
Right.
They're possibly looking at making a move.
No, I think it's better. I mean, it gives them an opportunity to keep their database.
Yes.
Well,
what happens?
But everybody else gets the database too.
Yeah. What happens? What happens when you're on Amazon and you click on something and all the other similar related items start following you?
Oh, it does.
So it's going to start. We're going to start seeing that happen more and more and more in real estate, which is better for agents. We all got in this to be business owners. We're the worst business owners out there. That's why we're not selling shit. That's why we're struggling right now. But you get into a great organization and you're still able to make $250,000, $300,000, $400,000. Some people are going to be able to make $1 million. Some people are going to be able to still make six figures. And there's some people that would make $50,000 to $75,000, but still have a better control and quality of life.
Well, I think that's a great place to stop for today. Let's get some. Let's figure out how to get some quality of life.
That's right. It's all about quality of life.
All about quality of life. I want to stop for today, but I always reserve the right to ask you back.
Sure. I appreciate that. By the way,
look,
this is part of my studio with Jesse. So
well, back to my show. You can sit in the space whenever you want.
I'm taking the show over.
This is my show.
No,
this is my
look,
show.
I appreciate everything you do. You ask the best questions.
Oh, cool.
And obviously they should use you at Lawyers.
I love that. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it so much. Again, thank you for being on my segment, Inside the Mind of Power Players. And that's a wrap on episode 113. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gaede, with the Closing Table with Lawyers title. If you like my content, you're really going to love my escrow team. So give me an opportunity to talk to you about your title needs and go make it a great day.